Hello, beautiful people. I am so glad you're here. Welcome to Your Spiritual Guru podcast. I'm your host and spiritual guru, Erin. I've been on my own spiritual journey for the past 2 years, and it's an honor to walk beside you as you navigate through your own. This podcast is for anyone who is wanting to do inner work, get more in tune with themselves, heal past traumas, and find their inner power. If that's you, then sit tight because this is going to get deep. You ready? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Your Spiritual Guru podcast. This episode it might be a little bit shorter this week, you guys, just because I am not feeling my best. Yesterday, I woke up and my throat was just so sore. You might be able to hear my voice. I'm kind of hoarse. The pollen in Georgia has been insane, and I am unfortunately allergic to everything that grows outside, which is very unfortunate because I love nature. I love being outdoors, but it always happens like anytime there's like a huge storm coming in, like my allergies just go haywire, which is crazy because it's usually the opposite with people with allergies because the rain is supposed to like clear out all of the pollen, right? But it's the opposite with me. And so yesterday I woke up and my throat just felt so sore, and it's a little bit better today, but I'm probably going to try to keep this podcast episode kind of short so I'm not talking as much. But this one is also going to be a little bit different because I do have a couple of announcements that I want to make before I get into the kind of, it's going to kind of segue into the topic of conversation that I want to talk to y'all about this week. But for the most part, it's just going to, kind of be some housekeeping. I like the fact that this episode is going to drop the last day of the month, so it kind of like prepares you for the month of April and beyond, which is when a lot of these changes are going to kind of come into effect, right? So the first announcement that I have is that, well, if you follow me on Instagram, if you follow the podcast Instagram at your Erin_your spiritual guru, you probably already noticed that I haven't really been posting that much on the podcast Instagram. That's because I'm working to basically get rid of that Instagram altogether and just put all of my podcasts, information or posts, what have you, on my main Instagram page, which is, if you don't already follow me on Instagram, it's AIR_WREN. So that's going to be the main IG page for, my personal life and also my podcast. I kind of got the idea from my friend Alexis, who also has a podcast, and, she said the messages that I talk about and want to express in my podcast are the same that I do in my everyday life. So why wouldn't I just put it on my regular page? Which made sense to me. But also with a lot of the changes that are happening in my personal life, juggling a second Instagram page is just, and like having to come up with different content and stuff to put on that page is just, one less thing that I have to worry about on top of the things that are about to, be a part of my life. Second announcement that I have is that I want to start doing interviews for the podcast. Like, for instance, my friend Alexis, who has a podcast of her own, she is doing interviews. I'm actually going to be a guest on one of her episodes here shortly, maybe within the next week or so, sometime next month. I won't put an actual date on it. And I might use that audio as one of our episodes for this podcast as well. But I am also wanting to interview people, or, this is basically my invitation to y'all. If you have a message that you feel like would benefit, the audience, the type of people that would benefit from this podcast, then definitely reach out to me. You can DM me on Instagram or on Facebook if you follow me. Again, on Instagram, I'm AIR_WREN. And definitely we can, schedule a date to get together and do that interview. And, even if you just have a topic of conversation that you're, something that you're really, really passionate about, it doesn't have to necessarily be a story or an experience. But if you have something that you are interested in, or that you want to discuss, or that you're passionate about, like, message me. I've expressed before, I love the conversational aspect of it. I love being asked questions and answering and having that deep, meaningful conversation with y'all. So definitely want to start doing more of that. And then the big announcement is that I am taking a big step in my EMS career, and I am going to paramedic school next month. So for those of y'all who are not privy to the EMS world, I am currently an EMT. I am finishing out my fire certification, so I will be a firefighter EMT. And an EMT is basic life support. We can do things that, are basic as far as, saving lives, but paramedics have a little more broader scope that they can work with, and they can do more advanced life support things. So I'm furthering my career in that way, and it's going to be 10 months. So starting next month in April, so I will be finished around like the middle of January, end of January next year. And it's gonna be hectic, and it's gonna be tough, and it's gonna be stressful at some points, but this was my end goal, right? This is what I wanted to achieve. This was, another notch on my career. And who knows, where things can go from there. A whole world of opportunities opens up once I hit that milestone. And it's something that I've had planned for a while. And this is kind of part of, kind of segueing into what I wanted to talk to y'all about today. Because with me, so I mentioned on the show in the past that I was affiliated with a network marketing company. And part of the reason that I wanted to, be a part of that company is so that I could generate income from my phone that would hopefully one day replace some of my income that I made with my job at the old EMS company that I worked, so that I could go part-time there and go to school to be a paramedic. And I had this plan, right? I had this, laid out the way that I wanted to make this happen, right? But it didn't work out that way. And I'm so glad that it didn't work out that way, because I was thinking to myself, if y'all have been with me for a while, you know that the EMS company that I started out with, it was good at first, and then it just became very, very, very draining and toxic for me. And it was getting to the point where I was questioning if I wanted to stay in this career field, if I wanted to stay in this field, a field that I had wanted to be a part of since I was in high school. Like, it was getting that bad. I was that burnt out, right? And so I was thinking to myself, even if I had gone part-time with that company and gone through medical school, like, I probably still would have come out of that class and have just, like, had such a resentment for that career, that field. And so I'm honestly glad, even though there are some things that I'm not necessarily thrilled about with the situation that I'm going into with, going to paramedic school with the company that I'm with now. For instance, I got moved last minute to the station that is known for running a lot of calls, especially at night. And the medic class is going to be the following day after my shift. And as y'all know, I work 24-hour shifts. So if I don't get any sleep the night prior, I'm going to have to go into class the next morning running on no sleep. So everything is not ideally perfect the way that I would want it to be. No, it's not. But how often are things ideally perfect, right? Things could be a lot worse. So that's kind of what I remind myself, and at least I know that I'm in a place, I'm in a work environment that I don't get anxiety in the morning, dreading going and clocking in for my shift. I look forward to going to work. I don't get ran all day. Even though I work 24-hour shifts, I may have 3 to 4 calls on average every single shift in 24 hours. Only 3 to 4 calls. That's not horrible. So I feel like I can do this. I feel like it's a long time coming. I've been in EMT for almost 3 years. October will make 3 years since I've been in EMT. God, it does not feel like 3 years. It feels just like yesterday. But that's kind of what I wanted to talk to y'all about. So this whole idea of wanting things to happen a certain way, wanting things to go according to plan, or wanting something to happen the way that we imagine it, right? And I used that as an example, my paramedic, but I want to use another example for y'all, because this happened to me recently. Well, I'll say maybe the past 1 or 2 years, so fairly recent. I had always wanted to see the Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. It was like #1 on my bucket list ever since I saw the opera on, with Gerard Butler, and I fell in love with the opera. I fell in love with the songs. I knew I wanted to see it on Broadway. And this was years ago. This was like 10 plus years ago that I knew that was something that I wanted to do, right? But I had a picture in my head of how I wanted it to happen. I wanted my significant other at the time, whoever I was with, to surprise me with tickets to go see it, because of course, it's #1 on my bucket list. I'm going to share that, hey, this is a dream of mine. This is something that I'm excited about. This is something that I want to do. And because they love and care about me so much, they would surprise me with tickets because they knew how much I wanted to go see it, right? Well, years pass and significant others passed, and I still hadn't had any tickets for this opera that I wanted to see for years. And I didn't see it all that time. And it wasn't because of lack of money or means to do so. I could fly on a plane. I could purchase the ticket myself. I was so stuck in this idea of how I wanted it to happen, how I pictured it happening, right? And so I missed out on that opportunity for years and years and years. And so almost 2 years ago, I sat myself down and I said to myself, I need to stop waiting for other people to make me happy. I need to stop waiting on other people to fill my cup. I need to stop waiting on other people to bring me joy. Because if I keep waiting on other people, I'm going to miss out on so many opportunities, because I don't want to do them by myself. And so that year, I made it my resolution. I'm going to see this opera by the end of the year. Mark my words. It's going to happen. And so October 30th of 2022, I believe, 2021. Yep, October 30th, 2021, I flew to New York with nothing but a backpack. I had a ball gown, literally a ball gown, nicely tucked away in this book bag with my heels and my makeup and everything. It was going to be a turn and burn. I was going there specifically. I had clothes, sporty clothes to just walk around the city in. I was going to get a little cheap, hotel just to sleep in for the night and then go back the next morning. So I flew in that morning, walked around the city a little bit, went back to my hotel, changed, went to see the opera that night, and then the next morning I flew back home. But I saw it on Broadway, and y'all, it was the most amazing experience. It was my first time in New York City, first of all, by myself. And it was just a magical evening. Like, I had the dress, I had the gloves, I even had the tiny binoculars, the opera binoculars. I had the whole thing, and it was better than I could have ever imagined it. And just being, that moment was just so surreal for me. Here I am in New York City, this beautiful city, by myself, in this dress, sitting in this opera house, and being able to experience this opera that I've dreamt of for years, and I'm finally here. Needless to say, I was crying almost the entire, like, as soon as the curtains rose, I think I started crying. Like, the opening song, like, I lost it. I was like, I can't believe that this is happening. I can't believe that I'm here. And so that's kind of my message for y'all, is it's normal to wish for something and be hopeful for something and want it to happen a certain way, right? It's normal to plan, right? It's normal to have a plan or something that you want to happen a certain way. That's normal. But also, what I want y'all to be cognizant of is allowing yourself to be open to other possibilities, other avenues, other ways that can be achieved. Not just the way that you plan it, right? Or that you want it to happen, or the ideal way that this could happen, right? Open yourself up to more possibilities, because if you keep yourself closed-minded, if you allow yourself to stay in that closed-minded tunnel vision mentality, you could miss out on something because you're not looking for it, because you're only looking for a specific thing. You're only looking for it to be a specific way, and so you miss out on any other way that it could be, that could end up being better than you ever imagined, right? So, like I said, I know this one was a quick, message. Like I said, my throat is killing me right now. I really didn't want to talk, for 25, 30 minutes. But I hope that this resonated with someone. I feel like someone needed to hear this message today. It actually came about because I was talking to my boyfriend earlier today, and I was talking about this situation, like the example of me going to the opera, and it just it just sparked that type of feeling that I had going to the opera all over again, and I just, it was an amazing feeling, and I wouldn't have experienced that if I had held on to that expectation that I had of how I wanted it to go. So that's my message for y'all this week. Until we meet again, namaste.